Hi everyone, Mr. Will here at Willie Martin, where we now have an empty Gerald Ford Stadium around us. For a little earlier today, it was the third largest crowd to come watch a game between the SMU Mustangs and the number 6th ranked Texas A&M Aggies. And as you probably can imagine, it was a very good A&M team that came in today to improve to 4-0 with a winning score of 58-6. I kiddingly said the final score was going to be something like 55-3 or something in that ballpark. I had a few field goals, and I just happened to make that almost happen per se. I got to tell you, if you've not met Tom Mason, the guy is really low-key, really relaxed, really kind of funny. He comes into the press and starts off by saying, boy, that was fun. But the one message he wanted to pass along to the fans of SMU and the SMU family is that he believes in this team and that playing these high-caliber teams who are ranked in conference play like your Baylors and your A&Ms and preparing for the Iron Skillet next week is just what the doctor ordered. Now, to recap, the scoring by AMU, Texas A&M was pretty fast and furious. They got on the board early on at 11:54 when Josh Lambo had hit a 39-yard field goal, 10 plays, 59 yards, 3 minutes and 6 seconds for 3-0. At 5:12 of period one, it then became 10-0 when Trey Williams would connect on an 8-yard run. Josh Lambo kick, 10-0 Texas A&M. 4 plays, 76 yards, 129 all that it took for that to happen. And a good chunk of that came on a 57-yard scamper by Kenny Hill. It then became 17-0 when Jeremy Tribuya would catch a 30-yard pass from Kenny Hill at 1:15 of the first period to make it 17-0. 6 plays, 49 yards. It would then increase to 24-0 when Trey Williams would then proceed to have a 5-yard run. Josh Lambo kick, 4 plays, 51 yards. And again, note how fast these scores are going on, 86 seconds, 24-0. It became 31-0 when Brian Williams had a 10-yard run to make it 31-0. Lambo kick, 5 plays, 70 yards, 142. SMU finally got on the board with 1:36 left in the first half, courtesy of Mr. Rademacher, 29-yard field goal, 15 plays, 53 yards, took almost 8 minutes of play, and it was 31-3 at the half. Continuing the rundown, Josh Reynolds would connect with Kenny Hill on a 70-yard pass right before the half ended, 1 play, 13 seconds, 38-3. That was a halftime score, pardon me. And then in the third period, Josh Lambo would connect on a 50-yard field goal, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, 9 plays, 33 yards. That made it 41-3. Jeremy Tribuya, another long pass from this time Kyle Allen with a Josh Lambo kick. 3 plays, 74 yards, and 1 minute and 5 seconds. That made it 48-3. Add a field goal by Josh Lambo to start the fourth period. 24 yards, 8 plays, 52 yards, 1 minute and 2 minutes and 15 seconds, pardon me. And then SMU, Mr. Rademacher would get on the board again with 7:55 left in the game. 11 plays, 52 yards, 4 minutes, 50 seconds, 51-6. And then one final score made by James White from 8 yards, Josh Lambo kick. The time took all of 3 minutes and 47 seconds, 7 plays, 76 yards. The numbers you can imagine favoring Texas A&M. First downs, 28-13. Rushing yards, 268-102. Passing yards, 395-139. Passes attempted completed, 24 for 37 for Texas A&M. 14 of 29 for SMU. Total plays and offensive yards for Texas A&M was 68 for 663. For SMU, 71 for 241. 3 punt returns for 46 yards for A&M. I don't believe A&M had the punt once, and I'm sure that they didn't. And as far as interceptions go, give one to SMU. That was early in the first half. Penalties. SMU had more of them for 75 yards 7 times, 6 times for Texas A&M, 53 yards. Time of possession, SMU had the ball for over 36 minutes at a few seconds, 23-53 for Texas A&M. They score quickly, much like we've seen so far this season with Baylor and also with TCU in that up-tempo sort of thing. Third down conversions, 6 of 11 for Texas A&M and 7 of 19 for the Mustangs. Red zone score chances, A&M a perfect 5 for 5, 2 for 2 for the Mustangs. And some of your leading number makers here. On the A&M side, it was Trey Williams, 7 rushes, 66 yards. James White, 7 for 64. Kenny Hill, 2 for 58, 57 of that on one particular run. Trey Carson, 6 for 34. Kenny Hill, 16 of 22 passing with 1 interception, 265 yards. His long was a 70, 2 touchdowns. Kyle Allen, 8 for 15. He threw for 130 yards. His long was a 50. Malcolm Kennedy, your leading receiver, 6 for 76 yards. Niederhofer had 6 for 73. Seals Jones, 3 for 38. Gonzalez, 3 for 32. Your leading defensive person for A&M was Alonzo Williams. He had 7 tackles, 3 of those of the assisted variety. For SMU, Kevin Pope was your leading rusher, 11 runs for 44 yards. Garrett Kirstich, who we heard from post game, he had 14 for 52 yards. Lemlich had 6 for 24. Prescott Line had 4 for 11. Passing, it was Kirstich 13 of 24 passing, 137 yards. His line was a 53-yarder. He got sacked 5 times. Coney Cassell, he was 1 for 5 for 2 yards. 8 total sacks by the Aggies of Texas A&M in this game. Your leading receiver for the Mustangs, Steven Nelson, 4 for 19. D. Thompson had 3 for 72. Halverson had 3 for 13. And then Mr. Sutton, 2 for 27. 8 punts by Mr. Jackson Kuntz, averaging 45 yards. And your leading tackler for the SMU Mustangs happened to be Mr. Richardson. He had 11 altogether, 2 assisted. So overall, Texas A&M now improves to a 4-0 record, while the good people, and you know the familiar voices that we hear behind you now from BGC Sports Network, they try to fluster me. It's not going to happen because I was married once. That's Mr. Charles Boyd. This is Mr. Cedric Bailey. A&M now 4-0. We got the Iron Skillet game coming up next week. Now, gentlemen, come on in for a second, because I just spent time inside the SMU press conference. I want to hear what Coach Sumlin and some of the players of A&M had to say.
Charles, you want to go first?
Well, definitely, it was definitely enjoyed hearing from those guys. They were truly excited about the victory today. Just trying to get something from this victory. They had some whole bunch of penalties that they recognized, and they knew those things they had to work for. I was really impressed by that, because in a win like this, it's hard to gather what you need to work on. But it shows their true dedication to the game and what they're able to do to be able to get better. And you know, the schedule gets tough. Next week you got Arkansas right at Texas Stadium, so man, it's going to be tough.
Does it feel like there's nothing that Kenny Hill can't do?
Well, right now, that's true. It definitely feels that way. I mean, he's been looking good, and people are neglecting to remember that he started out the year great against South Carolina. So this is not Kenny Hill that, you know, just getting the great games against teams he's supposed to beat. He's having great games against tough SEC opponents. So, I mean, I think he's the truth. I like him.
Cedric, jump on in.
Well, I just want to say we talked to him. I had a chance to spend some time with him, and I told him I was proud of him, because for those of you that don't know, Kenny faced a situation during the summer. Can you imagine coming in there behind Johnny Football and everybody saying, who's going to lead this team to the next level? And he had all kinds of butterflies. He had some personal issues. But you know what? Because of Coach Sumlin and the A&M staff, they were able to support him, and he was able to play a great game.
You know what his dad is, don't you?
Oh, yeah, the baseball player.
Sure.
And, of course, we're looking at him and the performance he did today. He was just awesome. 22 attempts, 16 catches, 265 yards, and then, of course, 2 TDs. One run he made was, he threw a 70-yard pass or so. So he was just off the chain. So, and in rushing, he had 2 carries for 58 yards, and he also scored a touchdown. So 3 touchdowns in one half of performance.
But don't forget, he did not play in the second half.
That's right.
Kyle Allen played in the second half, and he did very well for them.
Now they're playing. They only playing SMU. Now SMU's got to play against TCU in the next game.
Tom Mason, he walks into the press conference. He says, "Boy, that was fun, wasn't it?" He was making light of it. He said he believes in this team. He says losses like this can help prepare his team for conference play. He's not worried. He's going to make the pieces fit. He was talking like Dale Carnegie at a revival of some sort, preaching positivity. He had the whole media room laughing.
Well, and the good thing about it was we saw them make some drives. We saw them make some catches. We saw them make 3 consecutive first downs. And they got in the red zone about 2 or 3 times today, at least 2 times.
Don't forget, they also recovered an onside kick too as well.
Yeah, that was smooth.
Yeah, very good play call.
So now, irony of ironies, next week we all come back. Since I covered TCU for their season in all sports, next week they're going to get to have fun with Coach Mason, while I get to go handle Gary Patterson, win or lose, for the Iron Skillet. A lot of tradition. Now, you're a Fort Worth guy, Cedric. What does the Iron Skillet rivalry mean to you?
Well, between TCU and SMU, it's just something that's been a long time, and of course, you know, that's just the type of game that these two teams have. But right now, I'm going to give my advantage to TCU. I'm going with Patterson on that one.
Well, definitely TCU definitely has the advantage in this one. SMU just, as you can see, clearly they're in some trouble. Opened up the season with a very, very tough schedule. Not any comparison to the Auburn and the Alabama bowl game that they have every year, the Iron Bowl. But of course, it is something definitely good to watch. But definitely, I think TCU's gonna come out with a win.
2 weeks ago, you were up in Denton at Apogee Stadium. I got to go 1 week ago on a Thursday night. Today, our man Joe Jen Walker, who will file a report, I'm sure, watched North Texas put up a 70 spot
Pulverized
on Nichols.
Yeah.
Nicholls State, and you know what? That's important. Really, North Texas should be 3-1. That game that they lost on that, what was that on the
Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, it was Louisiana Tech. They shouldn't have lost that game.
There was supposed to be a coin flip with Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw, the alma maters. They didn't show up. I was mad about that.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes, Mr. Will, but we're doing everything we can.
Can you believe that we are now preparing the month of autumn? Summer's now over. Summer's over. Now it's on
It's
to
fall
autumn.
time.
It's fall time. It's hockey time. It's basketball time. It's college basketball. It's college football. It is everything time.
And-
it is time to start thinking about doing things indoors.
And this is the last week for the Texas Rangers. They got
7 wins in a row.
Yes.
The hashtag of keep Bogart.
Yes, and also the Rangers have Houston Astros.
Yes.
And then they close out against the A's. Both teams that they have played, the Braves and the A's, are fighting for wild card spots. So, congratulations to the Rangers. They're not going to go down. Hopefully they won't. You know, they'll get it together and do real great. So they're doing a great job.
And Cedric, we saw Bo Carter a little earlier. We'll close with this. It was back on January 1st, Heart of Dallas Bowl. This thing that we call BGC took roots, grew legs, learned to walk. Now we're starting to maybe jog a little. About to go into sprint mode.
Look at this.
Fast approaching 1 year, ladies and gentlemen.
People are Googling us and they want to know who we are.
Yes.
And we're going to be...
Because Google counts and because God cares.
That's right, and it's all the Big Game Christian Sports Network. You're hanging with Mr. Will. He's on point with Charles Boyd, and I'm Cedric Bailey.
Charles Bailey now?
Hey, CB.
And Cedric Boyd.
There you go.
And I'm Will Jen Jackson Walker. But here at Gerald Ford Stadium, 58-6.
Gerald J. Ford Stadium.
There you go. And I am not
We're
a crook.
killing each other.
I have no Nixons here. 58-6 is the final score. A&M victorious. They are now 4-0. They've got the game with the Hawks coming up next week. Next week we're back here.
And don't forget, Willie.
Yes, sir. What?
The Mavericks have Media Day September the 29th
We're
on
going to
Monday.
be there. You know I'm going to be there. Me and Sarah Melton are like this, you know.
Hey,
And
She's
congratulations,
married
sir.
now.
We love you. We think the world of you.
Yes.
Of all the sports.
Yes.
And I'm going to
You
go on
open
the
the
record.
door.
You are the best one.
Yeah.
You always look out for us. You never doubt us. And we thank you for just being who you are for the Dallas Mavericks. We love you, Sarah.
Have a wonderful Ginger Snap-taculous day, ladies and gentlemen. We're signing off.